Here's my philosophy on the rentals. I keep my houses nice, and when you keep your houses nice, you get a better selection of tenants and people. The minute you start letting your house sort of run down, the quality of your tenant is going to run down, and you're just going to multiply your problems.
And that's why you don't get the calls, because it's in great shape.
So I take care of them, and if something needs to be fixed, I take care of it. You should have, if you're managing, have a plumber that in case something breaks is going to get out there right away. You know, the electrician isn't as important. You can usually find somebody. You should have an appliance repair person that you trust. You know, those are the two things that run out, is that you have a plumbing leak every now and then, or a drippy faucet, or you have an appliance or something, you know, breaks. Stay on top of making them cut the grass and clean the gutters.
Well, Dave mentioned that I think he mentioned earlier that you shouldn't hire a property manager. I might be putting words in his mouth, but it really depends on the property, and that makes a big difference. So I've never had a 3 in the morning phone call. I have 7 rental properties, one of them short term, but that's because I go in and I gut them, and they're brand new when they go on the market, and I'm very selective about the tenants that go into them. So when you say should you hire or shouldn't you hire, it really depends on where you're at, what your price point is, what the condition of the property is. So that can't be a catch-all, every house is property managed, every house isn't. My houses are all brand new on the inside. Anything that I foresee as a problem is already repaired.
And how do you get your tenants?
I only advertise it on military by owner. Except for my short-term rental, which is on vacation rental by owner. I only advertise on military by owner. And 3 of my 5 long-term rentals come direct deposit from the U.S. Army on the 1st of the month. So I have no concern about collecting the money, and all of them want to sign 2-year-plus leases. So there's an advantage in only advertising to those people because they rent it and they're responsible. Now, I got this tip from a guy that has 25 houses. He only advertises to military people, and he's had 3 late payments, and he followed up with the commanding officer after they were a week late, and he collected all 3 late payments.
In the first 30 days of a relationship with the tenant, everything gets established. And so the way you establish that, the way you establish that relationship, and the way you train the tenants in the first 30 days, because either you're going to train them or they're going to train you.
Be firm, be fair. You have to absolutely lay down those guidelines, be firm. You cannot give in on anything, or you will be taken advantage and they will control the relationship. And the funniest line I ever heard over the years, when Katja took over and running the property management department, apparently there was one tenant, I forget what house they lived in, she'd call for everything. You know, well, I need this, I need this, I need this, I need that. You know, all stuff that they should take care of. And finally, Katja goes, "You've heard of Home Depot, haven't you?" I mean, you know, tell the person to get down there, get whatever it is they need, and take care of it. Because if you don't set that tone, you will absolutely get taken advantage of. Andrew has been renting, you know, from me for 8 or 9 months, and all of a sudden the rent comes in on the 6th or the 7th, and there's, you know, 5 days in there, and he calls me. I like him. He calls me on the phone and he gives me a sob story. The minute I accept rent without a late charge on the 6th, the next time that he had, it'll be the 8th, then the 10th, then the 15th. When the 5 day comes, boom. Get on there and charge the late. Send out a letter and charge. It's what you write in the lease. And charge the late charge. No ifs, ands, ors, or buts. The first time they bounce a check, enforce the cashier's check, or you'll just be. See, when you heard me say firm but fair, that's very fair. These are the guidelines. I expect my rent. I expect it on time, and I'll provide a nice place to live.
Sometimes people act fine and then they go rogue on you. So I agree with what was said earlier as far as being firm with them from the beginning, and when a payment's missed or there's a late payment, you're right on it, because trying to be nice sometimes doesn't pay. The other thing I guess I would say that I've learned in my particular cases, I like to stick with this area because I know the area the best. I've never lost money on an investment property. I've usually made pretty good money, but it's just easier to handle when they're nearby. Do I go over and do anything with them? No, I call the contractors that I use, and I'm very good at going on Home Depot and Lowe's website and order a stove or something if I need one, and I tell the tenant when it's going to be delivered, and they have to let them in. So it's pretty easy in that respect.
Pets are, it's an interesting thing, is you might want to consider, you might not want to consider. Get enough of the deposit, because I've heard everything under the sun. It's an old dog, it's a young dog, it doesn't shed, it's this, it's that, it's everything else. It doesn't matter. There's going to be additional wear and tear on your house with a pet. Okay, so you may want to just say no and adhere to that. Have I had pets? Yes. Have I had a problem from a pet? Yes. A house I owned on Crane Drive in Falls Church, you know, and it was renting to somebody who I coached in basketball, had a dog in there. The hardwood floors were ruined. Ruined, because the urine seeped through. So no amount of security deposit is going to do that, because when it seeps through enough, you have to rip out the hardwood floors. You can't sand and refinish them. So what I had to do, and I did sell that property eventually, I had to seal them, and then I disclosed that the hardwood floors were sealed, because so pets can cause a problem. So I'm not saying, yes, I will accept pets on occasion, but my security deposit has gone back, gone much higher than $300.
What we did is we have HMS on every single house. We'd have it anyway. It's already provided through the company. I've set it up so that the tenants directly will notify me if there's an issue. And then I put in the original claim to HMS. I never hear from them after that. It's all been worked out that the deductible is going to be taken out. HMS will send me. There's never a problem. If there was one 12 years ago, I called Teresa and was like, Teresa, and handled. So we already have the whole like, oh my God, we're gonna get this 11 o'clock phone call. There are rules that you set up. There's also things you can set up in place ahead of time, and the company already has that in place. HMS is a great route that you can take, and it will save you money over time anyway. And you can arrange it directly with your tenant so that claim is handled by them and they understand it all the way through.